Previously in this course, you've learned how to cost inventory in a manufacturing situation. Now, the need to improve the accuracy of this product cost information has been driven by changes in the competitive landscape and increased global competition. So companies will spend time trying to get very good at costing their inventory. One of the ways we can look at that improves the accuracy is activity-based costing. We'll compare it to traditional costing, which is what you've learned up to this point. In a traditional costing system, overhead is allocated to products on the basis of a predetermined rate. And as you know, we can use a plant-wide rate where we gather all of the overhead cost and divide by one activity base, or we can use departmental overhead rates where we allocate based on activity for each manufacturing department. Now, direct labor may be an appropriate basis for allocating overhead cost if there's a high correlation between direct labor working and overhead costs being incurred. If you have a highly automated environment, machine hours might be a good basis, but the point is you will have to choose one of these for the entire plant or for each department. Note that in either system, traditional or ABC, direct material and direct labor, which are direct costs, are traced to each unit produced. Traditional costing assumes that you can choose one volume-based activity that causes overhead costs to be incurred and use that to allocate cost accurately. This might be a good assumption if your product lines are very similar. But cost distortion can occur when products are diverse, or one is more complex than the other, or there's volume differences. If you sell many more blue pens than red pens, then there could be a volume difference that would cause cost distortion to occur when assigning cost to those product lines. Activity-based costing is a technique that tries to assign overhead cost based on the activity that causes the cost to be incurred. So there's probably hundreds of reasons that costs are incurred, and you will try to isolate just a few measures that will allocate cost best. You do this in a two-stage process. Basically, you allocate the cost to activities. An activity is any event or action or work sequence that needs to happen for a product to be produced. It could be something like setting up machines, inspecting, ordering materials, moving materials. Then you will calculate an activity rate for each cost pool and allocate to the products or any other cost object based on incurrence of the activity. There's three key differences between traditional costing and activity-based costing. First, under ABC, some non-manufacturing costs may be assigned to products. If there is a definite cause and effect, then you would want to go ahead and assign that to products, something like a sales commission. Under ABC, some manufacturing costs may not be assigned to inventory if there's not a strong correlation between incurrence of activity and cost. Clearly, this is different from what we've learned in previous chapters. Therefore, your activity-based system may not be in compliance with GAAP, because according to GAAP, you cannot assign non-manufacturing costs to inventory, and you must assign manufacturing costs to inventory. Now, the third difference you'll see is that in ABC, we'll have numerous activity rates. When you're setting up an activity-based system, what you'll want to do is identify what kind of activity level each of the costs is. That will help you to group them so you can set up your ABC system. There are 4 levels. First, unit level. These are incurred every time you produce a unit. Electricity to power machines must be incurred every time you produce a unit. Indirect material used, such as glue, will be incurred for every unit produced. Next is batch level. Batch level activities must be performed every time you run a batch of inventory. So when a company runs a batch of blue pens, they'll have to order materials to do that, and they'll have some processing of those purchase orders. Setting up machines. Every time they run a batch of blue pens, they'll need to clean the equipment and load blue caps and casing and blue ink in the system and run that batch. Product level activities are performed in support of an entire product line. Maintaining parts for the product line, or product design or redesign. Issuing engineering change notices. And then there are facility level, or sometimes called organization sustaining activities, and these are required to support the entire organization. These are often difficult to trace to any given product line, or aren't really driven by a specific activity. Factory management salaries is an example. Insurance, depreciation. Now, some companies will not allocate facility level costs to inventory. Again, ABC often is not necessarily in compliance with GAAP. It is really used for information to make good management decisions.